We have a story. A story not of us, but that of the Father's work in us.
A story whose author, director, and actor is God the Father, and the victory His and His alone.
We simply walked in humble obedience to Him, who said,
கடல் கடந்து சென்றாலும் தீ நடுவே நடந்தாலும் புயல் சூழ்ந்து எழுந்திடும் காரிருளை நீ கடந்திட நேர்ந்தாலும் உன்னோடு நான் இருப்பேன், உன்னோடு நான் இருப்பேன். அஞ்சாதே, கலங்காதே.
43 years ago, along the shores of Kanyakumari, in a fishing hamlet, Rajakamangalam Thurai, God's call fell on the ears of a young boy.
like Jonah, the reluctant prophet, he came, and all through his seminary days wrestled like Jacob to be sure of his call.
But on 8th September 1979, his perpetual profession day, things took a decisive turn.
No turning back from that day on, for Father Jesu Adime Emmanuel Arulraj, who was ordained an oblate priest.
He volunteered to go to St. Joseph's Mission, Pandaravedu, in response to the offer of Most Reverend Dr. Arulappa, the then Archbishop of the undivided Madras Archdiocese.
Given the poverty, misery, social inequalities, malpractices, and criminality there, it was considered a punishment parish.
But Father Arul looked at it differently. In his own words,
I felt God had given me a mission in my very hands.
the harvest was plentiful, but laborers few. His initial efforts to get some sisters backfired. Then, on 28 January 1984, like a bolt in the blue, an inspiration came, and he asked a few girls.
Why don't we start a society?
A few hands went up, and the seed was sown.
Early the next morning at 6:30 after the Sunday Mass,
One Mr. Doraisamy came to him and showed him a land at Keechalam, saying that it was for sale.
taking it to be God's providential sign, he went with him. What caught his eye was a huge mango tree. But it was not the season of mangoes at all.
Father Arul prayed for a sign.
O Lord, if it is your will, I should find a mango on this tree, and I should bring it down with a single throw.
He got the sign and started to act, but not without hurdles and disappointments.
Father Arul, unused to vocation promotion, went for recruitment, but returned empty-handed.
Yet God began to speak in the hearts of people.
நானே உன் கடவுள், முதலும் முடிவுமாய் நானே இருக்கிறேன். என் மக்களின் துன்பங்கள் கண்டேன், அவர் மனம் படும் வேதனை உணர்ந்தேன், அவர் அழுகுரல் நான் கேட்டேன். நாடும் நலமும் வாழ்வும் வளமும் வழங்கிட மனம் உவந்தேன். யாரை நான் அனுப்புவேன், யாரை நான் அனுப்புவேன்.
The grace of God brought 21 young women in the first 5 months, most of them sent by Mrs. Amalie, the founder's sister.
The Society of Daughters of Mary Immaculate and Collaborators was thus born. The first group of sisters did not even have a permanent house to stay.
Most part of the day was lived under this very mango tree. The rest of the day and night was spent in this hut.
Many were the days when the young group did not even have a full meal a day.
Father Arul, who never went home even for family functions, started going home.
The first greeting from his father used to be,
"Son, how much money do you need?"
yes, he went home just to get money from Muthaya Vatyar, his father, to sustain this young group.
Worse still, a day came when his mother Mary Cecily gave the golden thali to be mortgaged to feed the starving sisters.
Even the saris owned by these girls were donated by his sister Franciscal Devdas Mary.
Formation consisted not in classroom lessons, but living and laboring with the poor.
Working in paddy and sugarcane fields like coolies, working in brick kilns, baking bricks and making their own homes.
Getting up early in the morning at 3:30 to milk the cows to make a living, leaving the private bus and waiting for government bus just to save 5 paise.
All these are but samples of our humble beginnings.
But even in such extreme poverty, there was one thing in plenty: faith.
After 28 fruitful years, Father Arul summarizes the entire story of DMI as the story of God the Father and the story of the stamina of DMI sisters.
As regards his role, he simply guided the group in what he understood as the Father's will.
The young society's charism, loving God in serving the poor, evolved slowly.
அன்பாகி அன்பில் நிலையாகும் நெஞ்சில் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் மெய்யாகி பொய்மை பழி நீக்கும் நெறியில் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் ஒளியாகி உலகில் இருள் போக்கும் பணியில் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் தணலாகி நீதி நெருப்பாகும் செயலில் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் தெய்வம் தரிசனம் தெய்வம் தரிசனம்.
Together with our founder, we began to understand missionary life as empowering people to march towards the Father's kingdom, where all would be fully human and fully alive.
Empowering the Dalit, marginalized, oppressed, and poor women through motivation.
Empowering hopeless and homeless children through education.
Empowering the young according to the signs of the times, wherein English teaching and technical education are vital.
Empowering individuals by bringing them together and transforming them into a force.
The vibrant manifestation of God's power among simple women was evident in the gathering of around 15,000 women leaders in the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Chennai.
In the august presence of the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, and the same witnessed by His Grace the Archbishop, God our Father's power and grace widened our vision.
In the year 2000, the clerical congregation of Missionaries of Mary Immaculate was founded.
Memorable are the roles of the DMI sisters, Father Jesudas, the brother of our founder, and His Grace Don Vittorio Pavanello, the then Archbishop of Campo Grande.
God, in the persons of Most Reverend Dr. Arulappa, Dr. Kashmir Jnanadikam, and Dr. Aruldas James, the former Archbishops of Madras, solidly stood by us.
His Lordship, Most Reverend Dr. Nidhinathan, has been associated with the founder even from the first mission, Pandaravedu.
Today, God has placed the Daughters of Mary Immaculate under the benevolent patronage of His Grace Most Reverend Dr. Chinnappa, the Archbishop of Madras, Mylapore,
and the Missionaries of Mary Immaculate under His Lordship Most Reverend Dr. Francis Callist, the Bishop of Meerut.
As missionaries, our thinking has always been multinational and our work global.
In 2003, our collaborators landed in Africa much before us to establish what we call the Collaborators Mission.
Though we are societies with no big background or academically qualified people, God trusted these fragile fingers and placed in our hands huge and gigantic missions. In all this, the instinctive nature of the founder came in handy.
He believes that time would definitely not end with him. Time could be had, and God could mercifully extend His time for our congregations by giving us more vocations and missions.
But space is finite, and because everybody wants to grab the space on earth, space gets further limited. That is why, from day one, He has been on a hunt for space.
Space for the sake of future missions, future generations of missionary saints, missionary entrepreneurs, and missionary thinkers of our missionary congregations.
The added reasons were our natural love for manual labor and eco-friendly spirituality of respecting Mother Earth as the most valuable gift of the Father.
In these God-given spaces, we were able to raise institutions and establishments,
4 full-fledged universities and a number of technical institutes in Africa,
7 colleges in India, and a number of institutions, child mission and socio-pastoral mission centers.
This demanded a greater management. From the year 2000 onwards, when DMI foundations were first set up, our religious societies have been kept away from financial concerns and mundane administration.
The funds and assets of DMI foundations are the patrimony of the founder, the ancestral properties that had come down to him from his family, and the hard-earned assets acquired mostly through external credits without any liability to the societies.
But the funds of the society and the funds from foreign donors are not part of it.
DMI Foundations belongs to DMI, MMI, and AMI.
AMI, or Associate Movement International, is a body of our collaborators that include benevolent bishops, archbishops, and cardinals.
DMI Foundations is controlled by the superior generals of DMI, MMI, and the moderator of AMI as members of its board.
DMI Foundations is today an international organization registered in various countries as per the law of the land.
It is the nerve center of all DMI, MMI, and AMI activities connected with institutions in India, Brazil, Tanzania, Zambia, Malawi, and Sierra Leone. It also supports our evangelical mission centers abroad.
Soon, we will be taking over a hospital in Ethiopia to be converted into a medical college. We will also be involved in large-scale holistic development mission in South Sudan.
It has now been proposed that DMI foundations should help develop the charism beyond our horizons by helping others to grow.
Our intent is to keep DMI Foundation open for other religious congregations and like-minded laity either to work in collaboration with us or to open their own new evangelization mission centers facilitated by us wherever we go.
For we believe in a comprehensive process of Christianization envisaged by new evangelization, which, in the words of His Holiness Pope Benedict XVI, is to show the path of life, to teach the art of living, and to create a civilization of love.
Our strong belief is in the emergence of a new human species with the resurrected power of Jesus, and our every endeavor is a step in marching towards the Father's kingdom.
In this, our motto is simple and plain. Give your hands that others may grow.
Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Master, grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul.